Welcome to the Story Learning Podcast, regular doses of language learning tips and motivation to help you become fluent in any language. With me, Olly Richards. For language programs, books, free resources, and much more, visit StoryLearning.com. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the I Will Teach You a Language podcast. And we're doing things a little bit differently for the next few episodes. Who knows, maybe for the next few months. Difficult to say. Difficult to say pretty much anything right now, isn't it? But what I'm doing is I am going to start to record some of these episodes while I'm out and about doing a little bit of exercise. Because like everybody, I'm going a bit stir crazy at home. And I'm kind of like, I'm in a situation where I tend to work a lot anyway, and the boundaries between like work and non-work are just blending together in a bit of a crazy fashion. And it's becoming like, I'm quite good at focusing on the work that I need to get done, but it's a little bit hard sometimes to kind of carve out and dedicate time to doing things like podcasts, which, as much as I love them, there are often more pressing things I have to do, you know. So what I thought I would do is to start to record some podcasts on the road while I'm out for my walk. I'm currently taking daily walks on Hampstead Heath in London. I'm not going to tell you which part, because then you'll come and stalk me. Like, I know there's bound to be at least one nutcase out there who comes and tries to find me on Hampstead Heath. So I won't tell you which part. But it's one of the most beautiful parks in the world, I think. Very, very raw and nature-like. It's not one of those kind of pristine, sculpted parks that you get in somewhere like Japan. But anyway, I'm taking these daily walks, and I tend to go for like about 2 hours or so, because it's just kind of fun and great to get out. So I thought I would take the opportunity to record some podcasts on the go. Who knows? I mean, I often find that when I'm moving and doing exercise, I get some of my best ideas. So who knows, the quality of my answers might be about to go through the roof. Either that, or I'll be so distracted by like trying to check if people are walking next to me with masks on or not that I just can't concentrate on giving answers. But either way, here are the kind of ironically titled On the Road episodes, because I'm obviously not on the road in the traditional sense, because we're not allowed to, but I'm on the road. I am literally on the road right now, just walking in the vicinity of my house. So that's what's going on. I'm getting back to answering your questions, and hopefully this will allow me to actually start to become a little bit more regular, because I'll be the first to admit that in recent months these podcasts haven't been as regular as I've liked. So who knows, maybe this is one of the various unexpected silver linings of Corona 2020. Anyway, that's what's going on today. So, all right then, without any further ado, let's get into today's question from long-term friend of the show and listener, Peter.
Hi Ollie, Peter here. My question is about how to keep the growth mindset and be positive about language learning after you've been doing it for a while. I've been learning Egyptian Arabic for the past 4 years. Really appreciated your materials that helped me get started. I'm now pretty good at Egyptian, can use it professionally, and I kind of follow standard Arabic. But I am already pretty frustrated with like the words, and that the learning process isn't over. I'm thinking of moving Tunisian dialect, which is quite different, and I wanted to kind of refresh to make sure I could go into that positively and wouldn't get frustrated by the differences, by being back at the beginning, and so forth. So I wanted your advice on how I can keep the growth mindset approach to learning. Thanks so much.
Hey Peter, well thank you very much for your question. It's great to hear from you, and I know I'm a little bit late to the party when it comes to answering this, so it could be that you've already made up your mind by now, who knows. And so your question is all about how do you keep the fire burning? How do you keep those big picture goals in place? How do you stay motivated? And you know, this is for a lot of people the big question, isn't it? Like, there's no easy answer to that. So I think I can give you some general thoughts on this, and then, you know, maybe somewhere along the line I'll say something which helps you make up your mind. 4 years is a pretty long time to be learning a language, you know, but I think first of all I just want to acknowledge how fantastic it is that you're already able to use Arabic professionally, because that really is a fantastic achievement, especially for a language like Arabic, which is, you know, really, really hard. And you know, you You can use MSA, which is Modern Standard Arabic, for anyone who doesn't know. And I don't know whether you're actually using Arabic sort of day in, day out for your job now, or whether you're just kind of making use of it from time to time. Not quite sure. But either way, it's a fantastic achievement. But you're probably running into this realization that there's a lot more to learn, and there's always going to be more to learn. And in many ways, the better you get at a language, the more you realize that actually you're only just starting out on the path. There's a very interesting discussion around language levels and how long it takes to complete each one. So if you imagine that, so on the CEFR, which is the Common European Framework of Reference, you have A1 all the way up to C2. Okay, so you have A1, A2, B1, B2, C1, C2, and the A levels are the lowest and the C levels are the highest. Now, if you ask polyglots, are you people that have learned lots of languages, how long each level takes, there's a general consensus, I think, that each level up takes about twice as long as the level before that. So, in other words, if it takes you, say, 3 months to get past A1, then that'll take you 6 months to get past A2, 12 months to get past B1, 24 months, 2 years, to get past B2, and then 4 years to get past C1 and 8 years to get past C2. So overall, you're looking at like 10 to 15 years to learn a language all the way to total fluency. And when you think of it in those terms, I think that's, on the whole, I think that's pretty on the mark, really. It's not to say you couldn't do it faster, because you definitely could. But it helps to illustrate the fact that learning a language is one hell of a big job. It really is. And that's also why, in my case, I tend to prefer, like when I get to a kind of B2 level in a language and I've spent a year or two doing it, that's kind of enough for me, I could keep going and get past kind of C1, C2 level in the language, but the relative benefits of doing that are fairly small in most cases, especially if you're just a casual user. And in my case, with my language, I'm almost always a casual user. I have no particular need to become super fluent in the language. I'm not taking exams. I'm not really using my language professionally or anything like that. So for me, if you think, you can take 2 years to get to B2 or 15 years to get to C2, what's the what's worth it? And personally, where I come down on that is I would rather spend those years learning a few more languages, which is why, in my case, I've been able to amass quite a few languages, because I'm kind of happy being at an upper intermediate level. So I think, Peter, in your case, it's difficult for me to say exactly what level you're at, but I'm guessing you're around a kind of B2, C1 type level after 4 years, even though Arabic is a much harder language. And so the kind of brutal reality of this is that you really are, if you want to get up to the next level, then you really do have a lot of work ahead of you, and you've got to ask yourself the question, is it really worth it? And it's totally fine if you were to say no. It would be totally fine if you were to say, look, I really actually want to spend the next 5 years of my life learning a different language, or like you say, learning a new dialect, and maybe focusing on Tunisian Arabic, or starting a brand new language altogether. I think there are really kind of two main ways that you can look at this particular problem. Like, if you need the language professionally, and if there are huge benefits to be had for you to learn, to really improve your level in the language, then I think in that case it definitely makes sense, and it's a no-brainer. You started, so you'll finish, that kind of approach. But the thing is, if there isn't any particular clear benefit to continuing learning, then most people would really struggle to keep up the motivation for the length of time it would require for you to get there. So if you don't really need to get a super high level in the language, then the way that I would be thinking about this is to think to yourself, well, how else could I be using my time? What else could I be doing with these months and years of my life? Can you learn a new language? Can you do something all different altogether? Because it's also the case, don't forget, that the more languages you learn, the better language learner you become. So it could be the case that, if you could take a year or so off Arabic, and if you use that time productively and learn another language, that could end up actually being a net a net positive for your Arabic, because you're just kind of broadening your abilities and your skill set overall. So I personally think that the variety is the spice of life, and that there's a lot to be learned by kind of broadening what you learn away from one particular language. And there is absolutely no shame in doing so. And I think a lot of people, they kind of have this, they fall into the sunk cost fallacy, or they say, well, I've spent 4 years learning Arabic, it would be crazy to give up now. But of course that's flawed, because you're not giving up. You'll never lose the Arabic you've got. You'll keep using it professionally, and who knows, it may be the case that once you actually stop pushing yourself and actually enjoy it, maybe just read and consume content, that could be the time where your level actually really does shoot through the roof, because you're not putting any pressure on yourself anymore. And often great things happen when you stop pressuring yourself. So those are my thoughts, Peter. I think you can probably see which side of the coin I come down on, but ultimately it's going to be a decision for you. But good luck, and let me know what you decide. If you'd like to ask me a question like Peter has, then please do. You can do it right now on your phone. You can just go to iwillteachyoualanguage.com/ask. That's iwillteachyoualanguage.com/ask. I will see you back very soon for another On the Road episode, and also a few very, very interesting interviews that are coming up. If you enjoyed the interview with Matt versus Japan a couple of weeks back, then you're going to love what I've got coming up in the coming weeks. So stay tuned, and see you very soon.
Thanks for listening to today's episode, and in case you didn't already know, I teach languages in a rather unusual way, through stories. Now, stories are a great way to learn a new language, because when you're engrossed in a story, you remember things more easily, and the mechanics of the language just start clicking inside your brain. It's quite something, and if you'd like to find out how you can learn a new language or improve your skills in a language that you already know and do it with the power of stories, then you should check out my free Story Learning Kit, which will teach you exactly how this method works and how you can use it yourself to learn a new language. Visit storylearning.com/podkit, that's PODKIT, to get free access. Inside you'll find explanatory videos, masterclasses, worksheets, short stories to practice with, and much, much more. Once again, that is storylearning.com/podkit, PODKIT, and if you're lucky, you might also find a link in the podcast description or show notes of this episode.